Good evening. Good evening. Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Dr. Arlene. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's great to see my colleagues.
Thank you, thank you. We know Dr. Bavon Debrio is also on the line.
Yes.
And we want to say happy birthday to Dr. Bavon.
Hey.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Birthday to the queen.
Yes. So, today we are expecting Lewis Witter with Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, but we're going to give a few minutes to see if he's able to jump on. Outside is open, so everyone is all over the place doing different events and so forth. We want to thank you for joining us. My name is Donna Morton, and I am the president of Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance, president of Women of Culture Incorporated, real estate broker, Florida Summer Homes Realty, and life coach at Vibez Consulting. And I want to thank you for joining us this evening. We are going to be talking about actually the Florida Hometown Heroes program and what is needed. We're going to give a summary on credit the first half of the show. And then what is the Florida Hometown Heroes? Who's eligible? What score do you have? There's a lot of information. And so we want to just, on behalf of the Hope for Housing outreach by Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance and Florida Summer Homes Realty, we want to get this information to you. So we're going to go ahead and first get started with our amazing Damaris. Damaris is actually with, is it Trinity? Yes, it's Trinity Enterprises, and Damaris Diaz has been with us previously to talk about credit. She's going to do her magic again, to educate us, because this is what this is. It's an educational forum. So welcome, Damaris. But actually, before Damaris, let me just tell people that the Florida Hometown Heroes program, it's actually, you can find out more information also on floridahousing.org, but it makes home ownership affordable for eligible frontline community workers such as law enforcement officers, firefighters, educators, healthcare professionals, childcare, and active military and veterans. So we're going to go back over in detail the list, but first we want to just touch on credit, and then we'll go into a little deeper. So for individuals to get down payment assistance, any kind of help, we need them at middle score 640. That means it can be 620, 640, 670, but middle score, FICO score needs to be at 640. And there is no exception, at least that I'm aware of, for this. So we have potential buyers that would love to take advantage of this program, which is 5% down or up to $25,000, but credit has been an issue. And again, this is a requirement. This is a government program. We have to adhere to all of their, the qualifications. So stumbling block a lot of times, credit being at 620 and not moving, 610 and not moving. We need individuals to be at 640 and up. Okay, so Damaris today is going to give us some tips. Later on in the show, we're going to hear from our mortgage lender, Ted Bogert, who's going to again tell us on the lending side, his, give us his perspective. So thank you, Damaris, for joining us and to educate us on, again, ways to get the score up, even from a 600 to a 640.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Miss Donna, for inviting me. It's truly an honor to be able to serve our communities, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. We love to serve. I have a passion to serve. I have been with Trinity Enterprises for almost 12 years with the same company, doing not the same thing, doing it better every day and every year. So I could really say that. And it's really an honor to be able to be part of helping someone accomplish their dream of purchasing their home. That's really what fills my heart. So thank you for inviting me. It's always an honor. I always like to share with my clientele, and today with our listeners and our viewers, that the credit score, it's not just one factor that makes up the score, right? There are multiple factors that make up a score. Where does the score come from? We already know that for this type of program, we need a middle score of a 640. Okay, so I do want to share some tips in how to obtain that credit score. When you look at the different versions, I know that a lot of people are familiar with credit monitorings, or they'll say, hey, I went to apply for a car and they gave me this score, or I went to apply for a credit card and I have this score. Haven't you noticed that there are different type of scores? There are different type of versions. So for the home buying process, they're going to use FICO version 5, FICO version 4, and FICO version 2. So 5, 4, and 2 are the versions of the different FICOs that they use for the mortgage. Okay. So now, what is that composed of? If we look at the screen, are we sharing the screen, Ms. Donna?
Yes.
Very good. If we look at the graph, we'll see that there are 5 components of a credit score. 30% has to do with how much we owe, how much debt do we have on the credit. 35% have to do with payment history, meaning age, how long we've had it. Credit mix, length of credit history as well, and new credit. So we're going to talk about payment history. What I've seen in the past few years, what actually damages the score more than anything are late payments. Haven't you seen some of those in the past few years?
Yes.
Okay, late payments. Some people have, let's say, multiple credit cards and auto loan, and they could have one late payment and it can reduce or decrease the score all the way down to take probably 40, 50, 90 points. So mind you, I'm going to be talking about what's positive and what could be negative at the same time. Because if you have a client, if you have a person, or any of our viewers happen to have a 620, we already mentioned that for the program that we are talking about tonight, a 640 middle score is required. And like you mentioned, Ms. Donna, there are no exceptions. The person has to have a middle score of a 640 or more. So we recommend to always keep your bills, your actual bills, up to date. No late payments. Okay. So they are looking at the last 12 months, the last 24 months. Remember, on the credit reports, there is record all the way up to 2 years and back in most credit reports. So we want to keep all of our payments up to date, all of our accounts up to date, no recent late payments. And then we're going to talk about how much debt we owe. Look at our balance. If we have a lot of debt on one side of the balance, it's going to shift to the right side or the left side. How much money we owe. We recommend, it is set on under 30%. but the recommendation is under 10%. Because if we go back to the chart again, okay, this is very important for our viewers, our listeners, because I have a lot of clients that say, hey, but I'm paying my bills on time. Why is my credit score stuck on a 620 and it would not increase to a 660? I have good credit cards. I've been paying all my bills on time. Remember the graph again, 30% amount owed, 35% payment history, 10% credit mix, revolving credit, installment credit. Installment credit is an auto loan, for example. Revolving credit, it's a credit card. 15% how long or length of credit history, 10% of new credit. We talked about amount owed. It is always recommended under 30%, but if the buyer wants the score to go higher, you can bring the balance on the credit cards less than 10% and the scores tend to increase. Utilization rate, amount of available credit is based on revolving accounts, credit cards, amount owed on installment accounts, worth on paper. Therefore, when we are looking at a credit report at Trinity, we looked at the score models. Remember, we mentioned that there's version 5, 4, and 2 recommended for the mortgage. Well, not recommended, it's what they use. We have no control with which version they're using. Vantage scores, those are like example Credit Karma. Credit Karma, the scores could be higher, could be lower, but it can give you a guide that when you're making the payments on time, just giving you a path to increase your credit score. Because you can see how you're using your balances, how you're using your cards or paying your bills on time. And we mentioned already age. Now, let's talk about when the credit has negative accounts. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they have a percentage of that reports also, like I always mention, the good, the bad, and the ugly. For example, let's say we have a client, Miss Donna, and our listeners, let's say that they have 2 credit cards and they're paying them on time, but they say their balances are over 30%. Let's say we have an auto loan. We have been paying that auto loan on time. But remember the difference between revolving and installment. Always go back to the graph. How is the score calculated? So we have the credit cards. The tip is to bring them on the 30%. The tip is to bring it on the 10%. Keep paying your auto loan on time. And if we have a few collections that we need to challenge, because it could be an error. I mean, when you have medical bills, I know they've been talking about medical bills not being on the credit report, but I'm seeing a lot of my clients with medical bills on the credit because they are over $500. Under the HIPAA law, HIPAA, that's the Privacy Act. The doctor, the hospital does not have a right to sell that debt to a third party unless the patient gave them permission or waived the right to privacy. Therefore, any collection actually under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, under the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, and the medical bills can also be disputed. I understand that there are loan officers that are going to say, but you're not supposed to have a dispute on the credit. A lot of times there's no other way to fight, challenge, or dispute that account without the statute, which is under what? Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, in this case, the HIPAA law. As a consumer, we all have the right to challenge or dispute what's on our credit report. We do have another program, which is called the Genesis program, and we'll share my number and my email, Ms. Donna, tonight, right? Yeah. That way, if anybody has a question and need help improving their credit worthiness, TEP or Trinity Enterprises, we do not guarantee scores, but this is what I tell the clients. This is what I tell your client, Ms. Donna. I cannot guarantee you the home. I cannot guarantee you the scores, but we know how to take you there, right? So we're here to help. We're here to serve. There's a lot of information that I can share about credit. I don't like to throw too much information out there because it could be a little overwhelming. I like to sit down individually and develop a plan of action for each and one of our clients in order to help them remove the negative, add positive credit, use it, not abuse it. And that's how we're going to be able to make that graph comply with all the components, and the byproduct of remove the negative, add positive credit, use it correctly, do not abuse it. The byproduct, it is the score. Any questions so far?
Wow, I love it. We'll definitely have to, before your PowerPoint is over, to just take a look at that chart again, because I don't think people really spend time just to see. So 30% on amounts owed, 35% on payment history. You've got 10% on new credit, 15% on the length of credit, and then 10% on the credit mix.
And when on credit mix is revolving and installment, and then on 10% new credit, if I see a credit file, meaning the mortgage pool, the credit report that the lender pulled, under the scores usually has a verbiage on some remarks. Those are explanations of the algorithms or the score model that translates to the same chart that we're sharing right now. Sometimes it will say lack of recent revolving activity, meaning the person has credit cards but hasn't using them for 2 and 3 months. It has been reporting a zero balance every month. Therefore, the algorithm or the score model is not generating any scores in that percentage. If the person has high balances on the credit cards, the algorithm is going to have a verbiage. It does describe, it will say proportion to credit limits to bank revolving credit too high. Fancy word or fancy phrase for the credit card balances are too high. Sometimes it will say 38, 39% of serious recent delinquencies. It could be recent late payments within the last 12 months. It could be a collection. So the credit report, usually the mortgage pool, it will give us the plan of action and the path to success. If the person has not opened credit for the last 6 months to a year, and you open a credit card, it can give you 5 to 10 points. So it's always good to look at the credit report. So I'm encouraging those out there who want to take advantage of the down payment program that they have for it's so the hometown's hero, the hero's hometown. What's it called, Miss Donna? Can you mention it again?
Hometown heroes. I know it's a
Florida hometown. Yeah, it's kind of long, and there's actually actually another down payment similar to that, but the one in Florida requires a 640 and over. Most likely, it's going to require not being late, recently late. But even late payments are considered negative remarks that can be challenged with the credit bureaus as well. It's not about whether the consumer was late or not. It has to do with, did the creditor follow the proper procedure that the law requires before they reported a consumer late to the credit bureaus? So late payments can be dealt with, collections can be dealt with, medical bills, charge-offs, repossession. The most important is that, am I able to maintain my bills current, right?
Right.
Because you're trying to buy a home, so we have to be able to show that we're making our payments on time. So if the person hasn't opened credit in the last 6 months to a year, then They can open a credit card, and yes, it will cause the scores, the algorithms, the score models to move. That's what it is. I don't like to use the word manipulate, but when you pay on time, you manipulating the scores. When you open a new credit card, if you haven't opened in a while, it's a way of causing the graph to be shaken and generate scores.
Yes. I think that's so important because do you know how many times I hear clients telling me and customers telling me, I'm stuck, I'm at a 580, I can't move, I've been there for a while. So just having that information, Damaris, of even adding a new, and we know that people can have a secured credit card if you're not able to get a regular credit card. And we've got our lender partner, First Horizon Bank, that will do, help you to do that. So such wonderful information, paying down, because sometimes people pay on time, but yes, that balance, that will balance to limit ratio is very high. And so very, wonderful tips, because yes, manipulating, because when we pay on time, when we pay down, it sounds like a word that we shouldn't use, but that's pretty much what it is. We're trying to manipulate it to our favor, so we can get access to down payment programs, to better interest rates, all across the board. So it's going to also save you money. So Damaris, did you, I know we jumped around in your PowerPoint. Were you finished, or did you need to go back?
Well, I think we should stay with the 5 components.
Yes. Okay.
Because I can elaborate. There's so much information about credit in my brain. Remember, I've been doing this for almost 12 years. And I want to stay on track. I want to continue to emphasize to our viewers tonight that there is a way to really get that 640. It is really not hard to get that 640. So we want to encourage those who are there that can qualify, for this down payment assistance program, to reach out to you. And the consultation is at no cost. We can look at the credit report together and develop a plan of action in how to get them to the score. Continue to pay your bills on time. That is the number one factor. We have to pay our bills on time, because we already mentioned that one late payment can really reduce the scores up to 90 points. And if I, as a consumer, have had a great relationship with my bank or my financial institution, and I pay one time late, I'm going to be on that phone right away, asking them to have mercy on me, give me grace. I'm going to cry on that phone if I have to, okay? Let's not be so careless with our credit. Credit is very important. And sadly, this is not something, now is when they are teaching financial literacy in school, right? We didn't learn any of this in school.
Right.
But when we become an adult, actually, when you turn 18 years old, most likely, you're going to receive offers for credit. So for a person that does not have any credit whatsoever, if I have a friend, a family member, my husband or wife that has a credit card that they have had for a couple of years, if I can add myself as an authorized user, I will inherit that credit history, right? That's what we want to do. We want to share tips tonight. But at some point, if the credit is damaged, the consumer can only get so far, because there is information on the internet. But after the pandemic, the credit bureaus have really evolved. And they're not really on the favor of the consumer. So I would love to hear back from people tonight, to reach out to you. That way you can, have a conversation and we can look at the report and see how we can help. So if you don't have no
Yes.
credit and you have somebody very responsible in your life that is willing to help you, I'll call it injecting credit into the credit, right? Or let's say I've had clients that have been in repair for a few months. Yes, we were able to have the credit bureaus delete negative accounts because we were able to prove that they were in violation of the statutes, and the person doesn't have history, right? Has a credit card, but let's say it's younger than 6 months. If you're able to find somebody that has a credit card that is aged, I always say like this, especially to my guys customers, I tell them, hey, this is like we are in a car race, right? And at the end, we're using that nitro and we're just the nitro and we're winning the race. That's a booster, right? So adding yourself to a seasoned trade line can help boost the score.
Yes.
So maintain your bills up to date. Credit card balances under 30%, ideally under 10%. Let's remove the negative and then add a booster. That's how you get the score. We cannot guarantee the score, but if we look at the 5 components, if we look at the score model that we're sharing on the screen, that is the formula to success. That is the formula to obtain the credit score that we're looking for.
I love it. And as you share, as you stop sharing, I'm actually taking notes now, especially on the first 2. So thank you so much. As soon as your
Thank you.
screen, we're gonna just talk a little bit more about the heroes. And you have time to stick around, right, Damaris? Okay. All right. So wonderful information from Damaris as she stopped sharing. We're going to resume. Do you need me to okay, let me just send you, there you go. There you go. I just saw our friend Ted just popped in, Ted Bogert.
Hey, y'all. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We were just going over, oh my God, Damaris was just telling us about credit, that score we're trying to get to 640. You know,
It's a big one. We all need help, right? All of us need help. I love your background, Donna.
Oh, thank you.
I think my shirt is kind of like your background. I don't know what's going on.
I have to have all the, the butterflies
Got
and
the whole thing going.
That's so cute.
The vibes.
wherever I'm at. So, we were going over tips to get people that, because a lot of times our customers are stuck at 600 or 609, and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to get you over the hump, and especially to take advantage of this hometown heroes. So Damaris was just, going over, of course, the 30%, amount owed and the history, 35%, 15% for length. And then she gave us one awesome tip before you came on, Ted. If someone has maybe, little credit history, by being added on someone, trustworthy, loved one, family member, as an authorized user for a credit card. I've had customers do that.
It's a big deal. Like, it can make a huge difference.
Yes.
If you got that done. She's 100% spot.
So so the way that is, if mom, dad, someone significant has really good credit, they pay. So understand that you have to understand that these are good paying individuals, because if you get authorized, you're at it. So basically their credit history comes on to your credit. So now you go from poor, not great credit to you've taken on a 10-year history from mom, dad, or uncle, or significant other, which can help you get through, get you up from that 609 to maybe, and we don't want you at 640. That's too close. We need you like 660. So if any little thing comes and you have to shave down a little bit, you're still good.
That's right.
So,
right. It's so important. Damaris, you got to come on and talk a lot. I'll have you come on my show and talk.
So before, just in case, Damaris, tell us again how people can reach you.
I can be reached at 407-914-0921, creditrepairlady.com. And my email as well is Damaris, is DAMARIS at TrinityEnterprisesLLC.com.
I don't think I've ever heard such a, how we save people in our phones, and that's like the perfect thing. Credit repair lady.
It is really.
Oh my God. So Ted.
Yes.
Welcome. Give us a
Thank you. What an honor to be on.
Thank you for the last minute. I love how you yes.
Absolutely. Listen, I was just going to be around sipping on cocktails. Might as well get some work done and educate some people.
Right. We love the outreach. So I have a snippet of, okay, so I wanted, or do you have a list of some of the occupations? Because I have it printed off.
Oh, so I don't have the list on my little slideshowy thing that I threw together, but there's a website that you can go to get them. But if you've got something that you can,
yeah, so I'm gonna do a quick little so eligible occupations,
so many,
5% up to $25,000. So that's what's on the line here, folks.
Changing July 1st. Did y'all talk about that?
No, we were focusing on credit.
Big things coming July 1st.
More. Yeah, so we have, of course, law enforcement officers. I have Florida Department of Corrections, law enforcement, educators, classroom teachers, career specialists, librarian, media specialists, school counselors, social workers, school psychologists. Now they will need, certification. People, we've got to have certification. Childcare is never involved in any of this, right? Licensed or registered childcare operator, the instructor, health medical professionals. We're used to having our nurses and doctors. We have physicians, psychiatrists, certified medical assistants, chiropractic assistants, pharmacists, dentist, nursing home administrator, occupational therapist, massage therapist, physical therapist, clinical social worker, marriage and family therapist, mental health counselor, child protective services, veterinarian, assistant public defender. Nowhere I've ever even seen, so this is definitely different. Assistant state attorney. We've got our RNs and our LPNs and so forth, midwives, CNAs, home health aide, the firefighter and paramedic we're used to, and of course, military personnel and veterans. And that wasn't all. I just kind of summarized. It was too many, but I don't think I've ever seen so many people covered. And I don't think a lot of people understand that they're even on this list.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very true. And I think a lot of us in the lending world, or at least out in the lending credit real estate world, we don't know the whole list. A lot of us, I constantly have to refresh and go, I wonder if that's on the list.
Right.
Because we get so many inquiries on the program. a ton of inquiries on the program. Now,
Yeah.
the licensing part and the certification part is really where it gets people. You have to be careful because you can't just say everybody who works at, say, the fire department can qualify, because if they can't, if they are maybe an admin, or the job doesn't require a certification of some kind. But it does, you see, it stretches out. CNAs are on there, home health aides, assistant. You just have to have some sort of certification. But we all need to do a better job of educating the consumer on it, including me. I mean, I 100% need to do a better job of that, because it's money there for the taking.
Yeah, yeah,
That they deserve and they've earned, in my opinion.
right. So before introduce yourself, Ted. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Ted Bogert, and I'm market leader, senior loan originator. I don't know, whatever you want to call me. Head bottle washer at Homelendia Mortgage. I just shifted. Super excited. I finally partnered with an old friend of mine I've been friends with forever. It's a new concept. We're a mortgage broker. So we are kind of like your independent insurance agent, where we take your loan and we shop it around. We make sure that we find you the right deal, because not everybody fits into that teeny little vanilla square peg anymore. Very few people. We take credit challenged people. I love to talk more with Damaris about that, because the long-term investment in our relationships is really important. There are a lot of people who can qualify if they're guided correctly. And I don't work, I've been around a long time. I owned many insurance agencies. I've owned title companies. I have a podcast called The Ted Show that's going on its 6th year. That really is all about the community. I was very blessed to just have Congressman Frost on the show. So we're doing some good work, my team and I, getting the information out. But I love homeowners. I love home buyers. I love that puzzle piece, fitting it all together and seeing them happy at the end, however long that might take.
Right.
I'm in it for the long haul. So relationships are everything. I'm really big about giving back to the community, which Donna knows, and anything that I can do to get housing accessibility to groups, especially marginalized groups that have a difficult time historically getting into homes. So that is my story. My story
Yes.
on just coffee and no cocktails. Woo, I don't know what.
I literally just had a meeting because I'm a part of the Central Florida Reentry Network, and had a meeting this past week and discussing it is easier to transition individuals that are coming out of jail to home ownership versus trying to get somewhere to rent, because of the background hindrance that will be forever, right? If they have a felony, etc. And a lot of times people don't understand that people can make mistakes, come out, get training, and get such a high skilled job. And in 2 years, we can get them into home ownership. And so that's something that I'm discussing more on my role as being a part of the Central Florida Reentry Network. So you, Damaris and Ted, I definitely want you to be, as I get the go ahead, because I like to work with individuals too, that it's about outreach. So it's not about maybe right now, but it can be a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 4-year plan to get them to where they need to go to, because it is a process, right? We're not going to say, oh, in 3 months. No, you've got to, Ted will tell you, there's the underwriting, the employment. And so that's the piece that people don't realize, Ted, because people will call me and say, I have a 700, bam. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I get them where, they say I've got a 700, but they have no credit or they have no down payment. I mean, no money saved, or they just started their job and it's in a new career and they don't understand why that credit score isn't the only factor that qualifies them to get a loan. And so we do a lot of, I consider it counseling with people. Hey, look, you've got a great credit score, but you don't have any money. Let's look at USDA. Let's look at Hometown Heroes. Are you a veteran? We try to look for the Can you possibly qualify for a down payment assistance depending on the county? There is money out there, but you have to dig. And then you still have closing costs. You still have things that go on. And you have to figure out, you have to budget, you have to figure out what that looks like. And if you went from being, let's say, a truck driver, because I do a lot of truck drivers, those they change jobs a lot, they stay in the same industry. You have a truck driver that all of a sudden becomes a realtor. Well, you're going to have to probably wait a little while. I know you are, because you're in a brand new industry that you have no experience at, and they don't understand that, and it can be very frustrating for them.
Right.
So we spend a lot of time developing that relationship, building it out. I have a lot of relocation realtors that have started to come to me, for example, and they, you know, they're great out in Washington State, but they have nobody here. And the lenders that I work with, the banks, they tend to go, well, how we know they're going to be able to make the payment? Just because they have all the clients out there in Washington doesn't mean they're going to be able to get clients right away here. So
Right.
there's a lot of that stuff that people don't understand. What I love realtors to do, or anybody who refers business, just give them a little bit of education. Or I have realtors now, not to bash realtors, because, you know, I love them, but I want to educate them on how to educate their buyer.
Right.
You know, ask them a couple of basic questions. How
Mhm.
long have you been at your job? So I know what I'm working with. And because I hate delivering bad news, or I hate delivering news that's not yet. I'd
And
rather,
you are usually the deliverer.
I am 100%, because I'll have people go, well, talk to Ted, he'll figure it out. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to figure it out. It just won't be right now.
Right.
We have to work on this together, and they don't like that. They want more. So I think it's good. The more education that we can provide to the consumer, the better. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go into qualifying someone other than a credit score.
So touch a little bit on that, because people, like you said, they come in. So what are lenders really looking at? Because people really do, you know, I know Damaris does her thing, fix them up, they send them to me or come back to me. Then I say, okay, go now to the lender, to you, Ted. So, and then they think, oh, well, that was it. So now then you're
Yeah,
like,
thank you, Maris. And then all of a
yes.
sudden they're like, Ted, what do you mean you can't do it? Yeah, so you want to have, most lenders, for a more traditional type loan, most of the lenders will want to see 2 years of employment. There are programs that don't require that, but they require more down payment. So you're trading a lot of things. In the vanilla world of square pegs, you want a good credit score, enough money saved for a down payment. Usually in those particular type, 3 to 3.5% is sort of where you're at. And then you want to have 2 years of employment at the same job, or at least in the same industry. I can usually work with it in the industry. If any one of those is missing, we can still do a loan. The problem is it's usually a higher down payment, and people haven't saved for that. People are hearing things about hometown heroes. So they think, well, there's plenty of money out there. I don't need any money saved. And that is the absolute worst way that you can go into a loan. You need to be saving money. And then you can come to me and go, do I have enough? And I can do all the analysis and tell you, hey, we need to have this much more saved. Or if I talk to the realtor like Donna, and I can say, have you looked on the USDA site to see if there's any homes out in those zip codes that they might be interested in that are on the market? So it's a longer term relationship and build if those 3 things, credit score, down payment, and job consistency, aren't there.
Yeah. So
We still do. Like, I have people who come in who haven't filed their taxes in 4 years. Well, okay, so as long as you got your 640 credit score and you want to do a bank statement loan, great. That's a whole nother one that's on my little slide somewhere. But you're going to put a lot more money down. You can't just come in and say, I got a 640 score, I haven't filed my taxes, and I got no money down, Ted, because I'm gonna go, well, let's try to figure something else out together. But you know, they don't know. It's not their job to know. It
Right.
really isn't. So it's our jobs to take care of them and to
Right.
really try to help them find a solution.
I do try to do a little, summary, but I was in the mortgage world, so I kind of understand. Yeah, you have to kind of interview your customer, your buyers that are coming to you. And I have people right now that have called me for this program, and I'm like, so okay, so where are you at? And I'm at a 560. So I have to send you off. So before I even connect you with Ted, I have to send you to Damaris.
Yeah.
Because you got to work on your credit. So it does save time just having a little conversation before, coming to you, especially with a program like this that everybody wants to take advantage of. One of the questions I know people ask is if they have to pay this back, that the money, the 25,000 or up to 25,000.
So let's talk about that, because a lot of that's changing July 1st. And I don't know what that specific part is, but can I talk a
Okay.
little bit about the July 1st change?
Sure.
So July 1st, they are opening up to all first-time home buyers, regardless of occupation.
Mm,
They're also bumping it from 25,000 to 35,000. So it's something that, as we're educating them and that's coming up, it's a good idea to kind of keep those people who are first-time home buyers. It's still going to be the same credit score. I think I didn't read anything about the credit score changing. So, but if they're first-time home buyers, it won't matter what vocation or occupation they're in. But the money, they're also tweaking that. So that 30, and you probably know more about this particular part of it, Donna, because honestly, I think it's changed since the last time I looked. The money, the 35,000, you have to be in the home a certain amount of time, correct? Like I don't have
I
my
know
little,
right now it's a zero, it's a second mortgage. And
it's a second, that's correct.
if you sell it, or if you refinance it, or if you move out of it,
You
and
have to pay it off.
yeah.
But if you're in it, you're in it. Like you're
Mhm.
just, it's just all wrapped in, but it takes second place. So you can't just go, hey, I'm going to sell the house and not pay that off.
Right.
But yes,
Does it affect the interest rate? Because I know some down payment assistance does increase like 1% interest rate. Is that going to be the same case? No?
it will not impact their interest rate. Nope. If they
Good.
qualify, they qualify. And so if we get
Good.
at a whatever 3% or 3.5%, it's going to stay at the 3. I'm sorry, sorry, I'm down payment. It's going to stay at this. Don't quote me on that. Lord have mercy. We're not at 3.5% interest rate anymore. The 5.5, 6, that we're right around that range. So the normal that you would pay, there's no added points for that.
Right. Let's see. I think whatever
Oh,
else.
don't hold me to 3.5% interest rates. That's just me having a little brain problem right now.
Yeah, no. So okay, so you're saying July 1st, everybody's gonna be, wow, what a generosity. Then everybody's gonna be open to this, and it's up to
35,000.
and we're gonna assume credit, because credit score.
I haven't seen anything where they changed the credit score, so it'll still be
Okay.
640.
So full-time. Well, you definitely need to be full-time to afford the house payments.
You do. And so they'll be, obviously, they're going to do the underwriting part is going to be on the lender. So think about it. Hometown Heroes is just the down payment portion.
Mhm.
The lenders are still going to have to qualify you outside of the regular qualifications of Hometown Heroes. So you can't come to me with a debt to income of, astronomical. You have to be still in the ranges, and you still have to meet the basic requirements of each of the lenders. But the 640 is Hometown Heroes, and the down payment is the 35,000 as of July 1st. But yeah, you still have to qualify. It's just a way for you to qualify and get money down. What I want to encourage everyone to think about is the system's going to get flooded July 1st. So, prepare your buyers. If you're working with longer term buyers, let's try to figure out, let's get in there. Don't think that you're going to apply July 1st and you'll be able to close July 31st. I
Right.
think there's going to be influx. The system's going to, as usual, everybody's going to try to get in there because it's such a generous, wonderful thing that if they can qualify for it. So, just prepare your clients. When this first came out, Hometown Heroes, we were hearing things like, yeah, it's a quick close. Well, I can tell you that did not happen because the system just got overloaded. And I expect the same thing will happen July 1st. We just have to be patient.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be, and because now it's opened up to everybody. So wonderful, wonderful news. To be able to get this up to $35,000 to help, us, the Florida buyers, because we have our out of state buyers all day long that they're like, what? They don't need that.
I know.
So
We have lots of there's lots of great programs out there, and if I can just touch on that for a second.
mhm.
And I don't need to bring my slides up. I can send them to you if you want. You can share them, or I can bring them up if you want to. But there's a lot of good programs.
If you've got slides and you want to share, sure.
I only just about other programs. That's why I don't
Okay.
want to muddy the waters.
Okay.
So, but there are other programs out there. So let's say this isn't the program for you, and you think that you can't fit into that square peg of the traditional, conventional kind of loans. There
Mhm.
are loans out there for you, depending on your scenario. We're seeing a lot of foreign buyers come in. You just have to know that not everybody's going to fit that traditional mold. And you
Right.
want to work with a lender, me or another lender that also is a mortgage broker, and figure out what the program is for them and then work toward getting them there. There are some people who are never going to file their taxes, yet they are buying houses left and right. So there are programs out there for people. And we just need to be able to tap into it. My approach is, if there's a program out there and I can get it for you in order for you to qualify, I will do that. That's what a mortgage broker can do. We can get appointed with that company, work with that company, so that you can get qualified. So just make sure you're working with a mortgage broker.
Right. So you mentioned that. So that would be someone that didn't file taxes would be, are you talking 1099 self-employed or W-2?
No, both. So it's really both. Primarily we see it for either people who don't file, they're a couple years behind, maybe they're working on it, or we see people who are self-employed, who at the end of the day, their personal tax returns look like they cannot afford anything.
Mhm.
That's the beautiful thing about being self-employed. You write things off legitimately, legally. You write them off. So you have to find a mortgage broker who understands the bank statement loans, who understands. We even have we have a no DTI program, like things that you would normally bottleneck or stop a process. There are loan programs out there. The biggest hurdle is down payment for most people.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Ted, but those loans, do they require a credit score? Like, for example, the bank statement
Bank
loan,
statement
like a
is
660,
640,
640?
640 on bank statement. Foreign national, which I hate that terminology, but that's the industry terminology. International buyers, that's not a credit score. They will look at your credit, but they don't do it based on the credit score. That's also very down payment oriented.
Yes.
And down payment heavy. But for foreign national buyers, they usually don't care. Sometimes those are the one we're getting a lot more where they were originally paying cash and now they're saving their money and getting a second home with that cash. So the down payment, because they've, instead of spending 100% on a $500,000 house, they can put 20 to 30%, maybe 40 if it's a really crazy situation, and get two houses. We're also doing a lot of LLCs. So people are doing corporations and buying the homes, and that used to be that's not really done in the traditional world. So the broker world allows that. And there's a lot of different companies out there that will let us do that. just tons of good stuff out there. That's why this market, anybody who's afraid of this market, I think is just not looking at it as an opportunity.
Right.
Tons of opportunity, tons and tons of opportunity.
So for the investors, definitely the LLC, buying as the LLC. For those people that are still have been working on their tax returns for the last couple of years, bank statements, so different options. And of course, you know, having a program like this, the home.
I just had a client that came to mind, all the texts that he showed me. He owed in New York, federal, state taxes, city, county.
Oh my gosh.
A
Thank
hot
God.
mess, but guess what? He bought his home.
Yeah, we don't have.
do. They do. And a lot of times it's every situation's unique. That's why I love what we all do. It's you're taking that person, the different pieces of the puzzle and trying to put it together.
Yes,
That's right.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your information and sharing the light on also what's coming up in the pipeline for July 1st, to open the door of home ownership to even more individuals. But because that is, money down is the biggest, because credit, you know, we can kind of tweak credit, we can add authorize, but then that money saved,
It's a big deal.
it's a big deal. And having a little reserve, I always like to tell, you know, individuals, have a little reserve, don't just close and not have. And that's why the lender wants to see that you've got some money saved. And, you know,
We don't want you to be house poor. We don't want
right,
you to be struggling every month to make your
Right.
payment. I advise against that every single time. I
Mhm.
really, when people say this is, I tell them this is the upper limit. I'm like, I know, but what do you have saved? Do you have, where is your savings? Because what if you lose a job after you've gotten it? What if the market like there's so many things that can happen.
right.
And so I don't like to have anybody push it to that max. I think that is
Mhm.
just detrimental overall and very
It's stressful.
Yeah, very stressful.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Ted, tell us where we can find you, individuals that
So
can.
you can call me anytime at 407-810-5670. I'm also a prolific texter, so feel free to text me anytime. Homelendia mortgage. You can find me on social media. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. I mean, just go to Ted Bogert, or The Ted Show is the name of my podcast. And so I would love to help you all out. I'm really easy to reach.
Yes, and you see that he's got, you know, out of the box scenarios for those of you who just don't want to be in the cookie cutter type. It's all about the puzzles. It's not all about determining, you know, how long of your employment, what type of employment. It's a lot. It's a puzzle. And together as a team, we have an awesome team that we can work together to help you to fit this puzzle. And so at the end of the day, you know, getting to closing with the family and sign in. Yeah, it's amazing. So thank you, both of you, awesome partners. Damaris with Trinity Enterprises for giving us all the wonderful credit repair tips. You guys, we can find, you know, we'll be dropping the links of everyone also on Caribbean. That Caribbean American Diaspora is our Facebook page. So that's where this is going to be saved and streaming live right now. And then of course, you've got questions for Ted on the lending side, any questions for me on the real estate side. And of course, usually a lot of times people will call me as the realtor, then I have to filter out to my preferred partners. So, you know, Damaris and Ted. So if anything, if you don't remember anything, just give me a buzz and we'll direct you. We'll set up, you know, we're not one of those people that, okay, well, if you can't buy in 3 months, then forget about you. No, let's set you up and see where we can get you and what you need to do and do the work and work on the credit and work on the savings, etc., to get you into home ownership and also to preserve it, to keep, not just for you to close and you be at risk in a few months.
Yes.
Right? Thank you all so very
Thank
much.
you.
Dr. Bhavan, do you have any last words?
No, good evening, everyone. Once again, thanks for coming out and sharing this valid information with our listeners and viewers. Florida is the place, and if we live here, I'm glad that this opportunity comes up July 1st because, like someone mentioned earlier, we have all these out of state folks that comes down here, and they eat it all up because their money is gold. I mean,
Right.
especially if they had property there, they're coming down with enough that they can purchase a house cash. So it gives others an opportunity, or those who lives here. So that
Right.
is definitely an awesome program. And we just need to share the wealth, share the love, and hope that they see it as wealth and love as well and gravitate to it.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you so much. I see Miss Jenny is on the, do you have any comments, Miss Jenny?
You talking to me?
Yes, do you
Oh,
have?
good evening, everyone. Because
evening.
and I would like to say thank you to everybody. That was very powerful. And thank you to Damaris. I learned a lot. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll reach out. And Sister Donna, you are such a blessing. This is one thing I'm gonna say.
Oh, thank you. So Miss Jenny is in South Florida. And so Damaris and Ted can help anyone anywhere. Miss Jenny, even though you're in the Miami area, Fort Lauderdale area. So Miss Jenny is actually part of she's on the board for Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance. She's our Haitian outreach advocate. And of course, everyone knows that Dr. Bhavan is the vice president of Caribbean American Diaspora. So we love education, we love outreach as a team, and that's why we continue to host these virtual forums a couple times per month. So
Yes, thank you. I took Ms. Damaris' information because I can share it with the churches as well.
yes.
Yes.
All right.
Love that.
Yes. Well, awesome.
Thank you. We
so
will be
much.
honored to serve. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I have
Thank
some
you.
friends in Orlando area as well. I can refer to you because I will working with women. It's gonna be very interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
So any questions on anything, you can also give me a buzz and I'll refer you out to either Damaris or Ted, or one of my preferred. I really only deal with like top 5 people, because you want to work with people that love people, and have the patience and will communicate and get back with individuals. So that's how I operate. And so with that, we're gonna wrap up because outside is open and we got places to go.
What an honor to
Right.
be on here. Thank you.
Yes. And I'll see you soon.
All right.
Thank
See y'all
you. We'll
soon.
be in
Thank you,
touch.
everyone.
Nice, Damaris. I'll reach out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank
Goodbye, everybody.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye-bye.